Hi, this is Laura from Scrapintherapy, and I'm going to try a technique. I saw a YouTube video, and I'll put the link to that video, and where they used watercolor, and they just put a lot of watercolor in the background, and then they put salt on the watercolor, and then they created like a scene after the watercolors bloomed and everything. They created a scene in the background. So I want to try to see if I can get something similar to that. Now I do want to have the watercolor bloom, so I need to prep this page, and I got some absorbent ground here. So I'm going to put a nice coat of this absorbent ground, so that way I can make my surface be more like a watercolor paper, so it will absorb the watercolor, and I can play with it a little more. I think it will work well. I do have watercolor paper, but I really want to use my art journal. I think I may, the next time I buy an art journal, I think I'm going to buy it with watercolor paper. I haven't seen one yet in my local craft store that is only watercolor paper. I may just create my own art journal, which is easy to do. You can create your art journal. Just get some nice watercolor paper and then bind it together, because I do have the cinch. I can bind it just like this one and create my own type of watercolor journal. So making sure that I've spread my absorbent ground evenly on the page. Okay, I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to get some of my watercolor paints, and for that I need to use more of the liquid type than these neon colors. So I'll be back. Let me go get my watercolor paints and I shall be back. So I have it nice and dry, and I got some of this sea salt in here, so that's what I'm going to use to sprinkle on top of my watercolor. And then I have some paints. This is one of those paints that you get at Michael's, and the lady that was doing the technique on her YouTube channel, she was using high quality paints, and she's an artist. I mean, she does gorgeous work. She's very artistic. She can draw. I'm not that artistic, so I when it deals with watercolor, so I really have not invested in high quality watercolor pans. I just got these cheap ones, so I want to use these, and I find them in the kids aisle. And for crafting, I think these watercolors are more than enough. I don't use the brushes that come with my watercolor set. I usually take them out and don't use them. And this is a nice little Crayola kind, or actually it's not even Crayola, it's Prang. That's the name of these watercolors. And then this is the Michael one, and I believe these are Artist Loft. So what I like to do is I like to spritz them. So I take my watercolor, my spray bottle, and I just like to moisten them up. Give it a nice little spritz. Okay. And then now I'm going to go ahead and use my brush. I do have these Chinese brushes that I purchased just recently, and I do have these that are called like mop. And what you use these is to wet things down. So I'm going to wet it. So what she did is she wet her paper down. So I'm going to wet my paper. Okay. And now that it's wet, I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to dip it in the color. So let me start with some yellow. I quickly realized that this little paintbrush was not going to work very well for me, so I went ahead and got a larger brush, and here I'm placing some more color on my page, and then I'm spritzing it down. After you lay down your color, you're going to spritz it with some more water and then move the colors around, and then you're going to add your salt. So after you add your salt, you make sure you dry that salt very, very well, and you remove the excess after it's dry. And then I went ahead and put a sealant, and I used the micro glaze. I got that from Judykins, and you can find it at Amazon. It's the same product that Tim Holtz is selling for to seal your watercolor paints. So once I sealed it, I went ahead and stamped my page with an image of one of the second releases of Julie Nutting mixed media doll. And then I went over it with acrylic. Of course, if I do use watercolor, it was not going to work out well, especially after I sealed the page with that microglaze. It really is like a wax, so your watercolor will not, it will bead. It will not stay on your page. So I'm using acrylic paint. I'm painting my doll, giving it a little bit of color, and then I'm going over it with my markers just to give it some more definition. And then I'm grabbing a stamp, and I'm just going to stamp a simple saying: crafting keeps me sane. So here's my page. So I just wanted to keep it simple because I want to keep the technique of the background with the salt. I really love this background. It really came out very nice. And I do like this, just a stamp image at the side, and my wording. And it's true, crafting keeps me sane. That's why I always do it every Friday night. I always take time to craft or sew or knit or do something just to relax from the whole week of working. So I hope you like this video, and thank you for watching. Bye now.